Learning English with English Faculties.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a masterpiece by the Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore called Atithi, which means the guest. It's a story from way back in 1895, but it asks a question that so many of us still deal with. What happens when the deepest, kindest love starts to feel like a trap?
And that question is really at the heart of this entire story. It explores that deep and, often painful tension between love and freedom. So, let's get to know the boy who's right at the center of this very conflict.
Our story kicks off with a boy named Tarapada. And he's a true wanderer, a soul who is always right there in the moment but never truly belongs anywhere.
So, who is this Tarapada? Well, he's this incredibly charming, super talented boy who actually ran away from a loving home. Why? Simply because he couldn't stand being tied down. He just drifts from one group to another, singers, actors, you name it. He learns their skills, and then poof, he vanishes. The moment he feels affection turning into a bond, he's gone. But despite this life, he has this remarkable innocence, a pure soul that everyone loves but no one can ever own.
Tagore has this beautiful line that just perfectly captures who he is. Like a wild animal, right? He'll accept kindness, he'll accept affection, but he instinctively runs away before it can ever become a chain, before that big open world feels like it's shrinking around him.
And you just know it's going to happen, right? This wandering soul is about to cross paths with a family that wants to give him the one thing he always runs from, a permanent home and a place in their hearts.
So here's how it happens. Tarapada is on his way to his next adventure, looking to join a theater group. But fate, it has other plans. He asks for a ride on a boat owned by a kind and wealthy landlord, a zamindar, named Motilal Babu. And this one simple act of kindness, it sets the whole story in motion.
And of course, on the boat, it doesn't take long for Tarapada to work his charm on Motilal Babu and his wife Annapurna. Now, she doesn't have a son of her own, so she feels this instant motherly connection to this gentle, handsome boy. But their only daughter, Charushashi, who is spoiled and used to being the center of their world, she sees him as one thing and one thing only, a rival.
So one evening, Tarapada just starts to sing, and his voice, wow, it's so beautiful it just stops everyone in their tracks. The family, the boatmen, even people on other boats passing by. Annapurna's moved to tears, and Motilal decides right then and there he has to keep this boy. But for Charushashi, this just makes her envy grow even deeper.
Okay, so they're back in their village of Cathalia, and Tarapada is an absolute hit. He's charming, he's helpful, everyone loves him. Well, almost everyone. One person's resentment is growing into this complex, fiery obsession.
You see, Charushashi just cannot stand sharing Tarapada. So when she finds out he's been visiting her friend Sonamani and even made her a flute, her jealousy just boils over. She feels like her possession is being shared, and in a complete fit of rage, she finds his flute, the very instrument of his beautiful music, and just smashes it to bits. But his reaction is not what you'd expect at all. Instead of getting angry, Tarapada is intrigued. He's fascinated by her. Think about it for a second. This is a boy who runs away from gentle, predictable love. So why on earth is he drawn to her raw possessiveness? Maybe it's because her wild, untamed motion is something he actually understands. It's as unpredictable as the nature he loves. Her jealousy isn't a cage to him. It's this fascinating, fiery force.
And because of this strange connection, he stays for 2 whole years, which for a wanderer like him is basically an eternity. He gets caught in this complex web of learning, affection, and Charushashi's never-ending possessive games.
So their relationship becomes this constant push and pull, a real battle of wills. Motilal Babu gets an English tutor for Tarapada, and he's super focused. Charushashi demands to join, not to learn, but to sabotage him. She's spilling ink on his books, tearing pages, stealing his pens. When he tries to visit his friend, she literally locks him in his room. And through it all, he's mostly just amused by her, and this strange, unspoken bond starts to grow between them.
Now, Annapurna, the mother, she's watching all this, and she's smart. She sees right through her daughter's hostility. She gets that this intense jealousy is really just a twisted kind of affection. So she suggests to Motilal, let's get them married. Motilal's a bit hesitant, they don't know Tarapada's background. But considering how difficult his own daughter is, he finally agrees, thinking maybe this will be the thing that tames her.
And just like that, the ultimate trap is set. And the key thing here,
It's all done in secret. They find Tarapada's family, they arrange everything, fix the wedding date, hire a band, all without telling him a single thing. They plan to bind him with the ultimate cage of love and responsibility. But his spirit? It can sense the walls closing in. As the wedding day gets closer, the monsoon rains start to swell the river, and the world outside begins to call out to Tarapada. And you just know, his true nature has to answer. One evening, he's down by the riverbank and he just hears it. Boats full of musicians and actors heading to a festival. The sounds of drums, violins, singing. This vibrant, moving world just reignites that wanderlust in him. It reminds him of everything that lies beyond the quiet village and the closing walls of a settled life.
And then, as if on cue, a storm rolls in. The river swells up, the wind howls. It's almost like nature itself is mirroring the powerful, untamable force inside his own soul. And while the whole village sleeps through it, Tarapada is wide awake, listening to that call.
So the next morning arrives. His own family shows up. The wedding boats from Calcutta are there with all the supplies and musicians. Everything is ready, but Tarapada, he's nowhere to be found. He disappeared without a single word, without a goodbye. He chose the uncertainty of the open road over the security of a home and the binding promise of love.
So after all that, what is the big takeaway here? What is Tagore trying to tell us with this incredible, poignant story? What does it all mean?
Well, it really all comes down to the title Atithi, which means guest. Think about it. A guest is always welcome, you care for them, but you know their stay is temporary. Tarapada isn't just a guest in their house, he's a guest in every human relationship. His presence is a precious gift, but it's one that can never be owned. His very essence is that he's just passing through. At its core, this story is about this timeless conflict, right? It's the individual versus society. Tarapada represents that wild, authentic call of your own soul. The family, with all their love and good intentions, they represent society's need for order, for stability, for connection. And the genius of the story is that neither side is wrong. It's just a clash of two valid but totally incompatible ways of being. And in the end, Tagore doesn't really give us an easy answer. He doesn't condemn Tarapada for leaving, and he doesn't condemn the family for trying to make him stay. He just asks us to think about the costs of our choices. Is the freedom to be completely true to yourself worth the loneliness it might bring? And is the comfort of belonging worth the piece of your real self you might have to give up? That's the question he leaves for all of us to think about.